You know that feeling when you stumble across something that feels like it was meant specifically for you? Like the universe reached through the chaos of algorithms and endless scrolling to place this exact moment in front of your eyes. Well, that's not coincidence. That's recognition. And if you're here right now, reading these words, feeling that strange pull of familiarity, then something deeper than chance brought you to this conversation. Most people live their entire lives thinking they're passengers on a random journey, subjects to whatever life throws at them next. But what if I told you that every single thing that's led you to this moment, every detour that felt like a mistake, every door that slammed shut when you thought it should have opened, was actually part of a precise orchestration designed to deliver you here, to this understanding, at exactly the right time? You've been receiving signals your entire life, subtle nudges through your intuition, patterns that keep showing up in ways that feel too specific to be random, conversations that seem to address exactly what you've been thinking about privately, dreams that feel more like messages than just your mind processing the day, and that restless energy that won't let you settle into a life that feels too small for what you sense is possible. The thing is, most people dismiss these signals as wishful thinking or overactive imagination. They've been taught to trust only what they can measure and control, to ignore the whispers that don't fit into neat, logical categories. But you're different. You've started noticing the synchronicities, haven't you? The way certain numbers keep appearing, the way conversations align with thoughts you've been carrying, the way opportunities seem to present themselves just when you need them most. Here's what nobody tells you about those moments when everything feels uncertain, when your old patterns stop working, when you find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about your path. That's not chaos. That's recalibration. The universe doesn't disrupt your life randomly. It disrupts your life precisely, at the exact moment you're ready to receive what's been waiting for you on the other side of that disruption. Right now, something in your nervous system is responding to these words, not because I'm saying anything you don't already know, but because I'm speaking to something you've been feeling, but couldn't quite articulate. That sense that there's more happening beneath the surface of your everyday experience. That feeling that you're being guided, even when you can't see the complete picture. But let me be honest with you about what's actually happening here. This isn't about convincing you that the universe has some grand plan for your life. This is about helping you recognize that you've already been in conversation with something larger than your conscious mind this entire time. Every intuitive hit you've had, every moment when you just knew something without being able to explain how you knew it, every time you felt pulled towards something that didn't make logical sense but felt undeniably right. You've been unconsciously collaborating with forces that operate on a different frequency than your analytical thinking. And the reason you're here, listening to this, is because that collaboration is about to become conscious. You're about to start recognizing the signals that have been guiding you all along, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. Most people spend their entire lives fighting against the current of their own evolution. They resist change, cling to familiar pain, and wonder why they feel stuck, even when they're constantly trying to improve their circumstances. But what if the resistance itself is the problem? What if the very thing you've been avoiding is exactly what's been trying to find you? See, the universe doesn't communicate through force or pressure. It communicates through resonance, through that feeling of rightness that lands in your body before your mind has time to analyze it, through those moments when time seems to slow down and you catch a glimpse of who you're becoming, through the people who show up exactly when you need them, saying exactly what you need to hear. And right now, in this moment, as you're processing these words, something is shifting in your awareness. You can feel it, can't you? That sense of pieces clicking into place, of finally having language for experiences you've been carrying silently. That recognition that you're not losing your mind when you notice patterns that seem too meaningful to be coincidental. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They have moments of clarity like this, they feel the truth of what they're experiencing, and then they return to their regular programming. They go back to the same conversations, the same routines, the same ways of interpreting their reality that kept them disconnected from their deeper knowing in the first place. But something tells me you're not most people. Something tells me you've been preparing for this recognition your entire life, even when you didn't know that's what was happening. Every time you trusted your intuition, despite what others might think, you were building the capacity to handle this level of awareness. Every time you chose growth over comfort, you were strengthening your ability to receive what you're receiving right now. Because what you're receiving isn't information, it's remembrance. You're not learning something new about how the universe works. You're remembering something you've always known but got taught to forget. That you're not separate from the intelligence that moves through everything. You're an expression of it. And that changes everything about how you interpret what's been happening in your life. Those closed doors weren't rejections, they were redirections. Those painful endings weren't punishments. They were completions, clearing space for what's been trying to emerge. Those moments of feeling lost weren't evidence that you're off track. They were invitations to trust something deeper than your need to control every outcome. Your future self has been working behind the scenes this entire time, orchestrating synchronicities, arranging encounters, creating the conditions that would eventually lead you to this moment of recognition. Not because they're manipulating your reality, but because consciousness itself is intelligent, purposeful, responsive to your authentic desires in ways your logical mind can't comprehend. So what happens now? What happens when you finally accept that you're not here by accident, that this moment wasn't randomly generated by some algorithm, but was orchestrated by forces you're just beginning to understand? Well, first, you stop apologizing for the things that make you different. You stop trying to convince people who aren't ready to see what you can see. You stop second-guessing the impulses that have been trying to guide you toward something you can't yet name, but somehow recognize. Because here's the thing about awakening to your deeper purpose. It doesn't come with a manual or a step-by-step guide. It comes with trust. Trust in the process that's been unfolding through your life since the moment you took your first breath. Trust in the intelligence that knows exactly what you need and when you need it. Trust in the timing that's been perfectly calibrated to your readiness to receive what's been waiting for you. And yes, it's scary, because trusting something you can't control means releasing the illusion that you ever had control in the first place. It means admitting that the best things in your life didn't come from forcing or pushing or desperately trying to make something happen. They came from alignment, from surrender, from finally getting out of your own way long enough for life to surprise you with its generosity. Right now, as you're absorbing these words, your reality is already beginning to reorganize itself around this new level of awareness. You might not notice it immediately because the changes happen subtly, like tuning into a frequency that was always broadcasting, but you were just slightly off the channel. But pay attention to what shows up in the coming days and weeks. Pay attention to the conversations that seem to address exactly what you've been contemplating. Pay attention to the opportunities that align with what you've been secretly hoping for. Because once you start seeing the synchronicities, once you start recognizing the signs that you're on the right track, life becomes less about grinding and more about flowing. Less about forcing outcomes and more about responding to what's being offered. Less about trying to figure everything out and more about trusting that you're being guided towards something better than anything you could have planned for yourself. This is why you were meant to find this message at this exact moment in your evolution. Not yesterday when you weren't ready to hear it, not tomorrow when the window might have passed. Right now, when your consciousness was perfectly calibrated to receive this transmission from your future self, from the version of you that's been patiently waiting for you to remember who you really are, beneath all the stories and limitations you've been carrying. You see, your life isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. You're not a victim of circumstances or a passenger on someone else's journey. You're a conscious participant in an unfolding story that's more beautiful and meaningful than you've allowed yourself to imagine. And the moment you accept that, the moment you step into that truth, everything shifts. The conversations change, the people you attract change, the opportunities that present themselves change. Not because the world suddenly decides to be kinder to you, but because you finally aligned with the frequency of what you've been seeking all along. You stop broadcasting scarcity and start embodying abundance. You stop radiating desperation and start emanating trust. You stop chasing what you think you need and start magnetizing what actually serves your highest good. But here's what I need you to understand about this moment of recognition. It's not a destination, it's a doorway. You're not arriving somewhere, you're beginning something. This awareness you're experiencing right now, this sense of finally coming home to yourself, This is just the starting point of what becomes possible when you stop resisting your own evolution. So take this knowing with you when you leave this space. Let it inform how you move through your days, how you interpret the challenges that come your way, how you respond to the invitations that life keeps extending. Because they're invitations, not tests. They're opportunities to practice trusting what you now know to be true, that you're exactly where you need to be, receiving exactly what you need to receive, becoming exactly who you're meant to become. The universe brought you here for this recognition, for this remembering, for this moment when everything finally starts making sense, not because your journey is over, but because it's finally ready to begin. Welcome to the conversation you've been having your entire life without realizing it. Welcome to the path that's been calling your name since before you knew how to listen. Welcome home to yourself. If this message found you exactly when you needed to hear it, if something in these words resonated with a truth you've been carrying but couldn't quite name, then you know this wasn't random. Leave a comment that simply says, "I remember," because that recognition, that remembering, that's how you know the transmission was received. And if someone in your life has been searching for this same understanding, share this with them. Sometimes we become the bridge between someone else's seeking and their finding. The universe sent you here for a reason. Now you know what it was.